We are at that tipping point now, right? Lions got through the first week of free agency. I mean, like 3 waves in a week. Man, my camera looks terrible. What is the deal? So anyway, like 3 waves of free agency last week, right? I mean, you have the tampering period. That's when a lot of stuff gets understood. Where these players going? What are the teams looking at? Lions were extremely quiet. First day of free agency opens on Wednesday. Nothing else. Nothing else really going on. We signed DJ Reed. We bring in some guys from last season, which, you know, I did the video yesterday and I said, look, this is exactly what we expected. At least I did. I know the people that watch the channel consistently heard me for the last month or so saying that this is exactly what we expected. Re-signing a lot of the same players from last season, bringing back some of these critical pieces that, I mean, I was very honest yesterday when I said they got a ton of action last year that they weren't supposed to get. So all of that playing time, you got a really good, hard look at these guys that you're now bringing back. Some unknowns, yes. Davenport is an unknown, but I'd rather have that $1.75 million risk than not. It's you know, really a glorified camp body at this point. He's going to have to fight his way onto this team too. He's not an immediate starter. I don't know if anyone's really talking about this. Josh Paschal, in my opinion, he's your right defensive end right now. He is your starter on the right side. I think that last season, Calvin Shepard and Dan and Brad and everybody else got a really good look at Josh Paschal of the old, right, from Kentucky. So when he was in Kentucky, he was an edge rusher. And man, was he good. He reminds me a lot of Nick Scorton or Scourton. Those of you that were in the members only video got to watch some of that with me and compare Josh to Nick, and really, really, really good tape for both of those guys. So I'm confident, right, that we have a really good team established for camp, right? This is just camp right now. This team is not settled. These guys are going to be fighting. This is going to be a very competitive camp. I outlined in an article the other day too, where I kind of compared defensive line here. Let me pull it up. Where I kind of compared the defensive line from last year to this year and where we're kind of starting at, you know, right now. And I think that it's important to recognize Brad's doing something very similar to last season, but I think he's going a little bit heavier on the defensive line. And I also think that he's leaving some space open for the draft. And that's why I'm expecting that the Detroit Lions are going to land a big time pass rusher, edge rusher in this draft, which again, roster roulette tells us, at least tells me, it's just my, you know, cynical ideas, I guess, that this is the year that you backfill Aiden Hutchinson. You have to, right? You're about to pay the dude, you know, a boatload of money. You have to backload his contract with a young rookie that hopefully can turn into the next Aiden, or at least, you know, someone that can complement Aiden on the other side of the football, right? So let's start with the comparison of last year, side-by-side look of last year to this year. So at this point into the season, I apologize. I'll get into the chat in 1 second. I'll welcome you guys in 1 second, but I got off to a rough start, so I want to get through this, and then I'll pause for just a brief moment. Side-by-side look, 24 to 25. So defensive line on the 53-man roster, the Lions kept 9. Right, we had a little bit of a wonky issue there because we had Kaminsky that was injured, and he was either headed to IR or they didn't know what they were going to do with Kaminsky. And then Broderick Martin also had the knee injury at the last preseason game. They didn't know what they were going to do with him. So both of those guys kind of didn't count, but they did count. I think Broderick was put to IR and Kaminsky was left on the roster for like 2 or 3 days, and then he was moved to IR. So they had 9 defensive linemen on the roster at the 53-man cut day. So they had Aiden, Marcus Davenport, DJ Reader, Ali McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, Josh Paschal, Mekhi Wingo, John Kaminsky, who was moved to IR, and James Houston, and then Broderick Martin, who was moved to IR. So at the end of the day, when John Kaminsky was moved off, that was 8. And then they brought Kyle Pecco back. That was 9. So a lot of, you know, roster gymnastics going on here. And when you look at the 2025 defensive line after free agency, we have what I call the 8 plus 5. We have Aiden, Marcus Davenport, DJ Reader, Ali McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, Josh Pascal, Mekhi Wingo, and Broderick Martin. So we're returning 8 of the original, what really was 10 last year. We're returning 8, and now we've added 5 more. So not re-signed Kaminsky in Houston, brought in Roy Lopez. Now, Miles Adams wasn't on the original 53. We brought him back. Levi was re-signed. Chris Smith is on a future, and Isaac Ukwu is on a future the last when this was written. So I don't know what's happened today because I was on the east side of the state dealing with stupid computer issues. 2024 training camp. The Lions opened with 15 defensive linemen. 15. So Ali McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, Mekhi Wingo, Reeder, Martin, Davenport, Pascal, Hutchinson, Pecco, Bada, Chris Smith, Ukwu, Mitchell Agood, Nate Lynn, and John Kaminsky. So if we go, man for man, right now the Lions only have 13. They only have 13, where last year they started camp with 15. So that tells me there's at least 2 more spots. And if you go back 23, 22, 21, and kind of look at where Brad Holmes has set this roster up, every year he's kind of been adding a little bit more to the defensive line, it seems like. And this year I'm expecting he's going heavy. He wants the absolute best guys out of the draft. He wants the best guys out of camp. And then he's going to try to keep as many as he can, on this 69, man squad that we have, the vet squad, the rookie squad, the UDFAs, all of it, in the practice squad. So I think that the way that Brad is putting this together, it's identical to last year. And look, man, we had a really good squad, top 5 defense through the first 12 weeks of the season. And we lost all of those players. So you can't tell me that we didn't have a good team. You can't tell me that we didn't do anything, because if anything, we got better year over year. Broderick Martin's kind of like the wild card. Like we just don't know what we don't know. I mean, he could shock the world right now. We've seen clips of Giovanni Manu today. Wow. Like, this dude is massively ripped. Giovanni Manu, I mean, he looks like he's ready to come in and just, terrorize the team this season on the offensive line. And I'm hoping that he does. He looks ready to rock and roll. And I'm excited for that. So why can't Broderick Martin make that same leap, right? Has to be in here. I think he has it. I don't think he would be on this team if he didn't. So when you look at the linebackers, same thing. Last year, 53-man roster, we had 6. Entering free agency, or just after free agency in 25, we returned 4, and we added 6. So we have 10, right? And then in training camp last year, the Lions started with 10. So are we done with linebackers right now? I mean, I'm sure it's always fluid. It's always fluid with Brad, right? You don't know. We could end up with 11 or 12 going into camp. Not sure, right? I think that once we get into camp, obviously we'll know where these competitions are, and we'll probably see a couple of players get bounced early so that they can bring some other players in. But we added Grant Stewart this year. Huge. I mean, that's a huge signing. Like, the dude is really good special teams player. Really, really good. Trevor Nowaski, I think that he's been a real good bright spot for us. He's still raw. He's still young. I think that he's going to be just fine. The guys that are, on the bottom, Beauplan and Gilbert, Ezekiel Turner, he's been around, but kind of bites on every play action. Those are the kind of guys I'm not too excited about. But hey, if they stick, they stick. If Brad finds some guys in the draft, then he finds some guys in the draft. What does all this mean right now? Absolutely nothing, right? It only means that we're set up for camp, but really the Detroit Lions are set up for the draft. Brad can walk into this draft right now, not worried about anything on this defense. The DB room is set. We're returning the top 2 safeties. At least we know right now Kirby's coming back. I mean, he's still under contract. Brian Branch is going to be back. DJ Reed, Terry and Arnold, Amik Robertson. That's a pretty deep DB room. Linebacker room is set with our starters from last year. Defensive line is set with our starters. And I had a few comments on yesterday's video. This will be the last thing I say before I jump into the chat. People questioning the whole Aiden thing. I've been the one questioning the Aiden thing, whether he was going to be himself, whether he was going to return to the same form, how long was it going to take? But I had people in there saying, like, this guy's not even going to be around until, mid-season. I'm like, wait a second. He was supposed to be back for the Super Bowl, remember? That's like 12 weeks. This is a 12-week rehab. Aiden's into like month 5 right now, or month 4 at least, 5, I think. And by the time he gets to camp, it's going to be well over 6 months, or OTAs, it'll be 6 months. There is no reason why Aiden Hutchinson can't be fully ready to go by OTAs in May. There's no reason why he can't be. And if he's not ready to go, and if he's having any issues at all, that's when I'm going to question his career. Like, is he going to be able to make a full return? That's when I would question it. But really in camp, that's where we have to see Aiden perform. And then I think that we'll know he's good to go. I don't think Brad gets an extension done with Aiden this year. And if he does, I think it's going to come after camp or during camp once he sees Aiden start terrorizing offensive lines with this cast of defensive linemen around him. So I'm excited for it. I think I'm going to be there probably every day this year. I don't think I'm going to take a day off. There's a reason for that. I'll be coming out shortly. I'll be letting you guys know the great news, but I'm excited for it. So let's get into tonight. I got 15 edge rushers I want to review. The top 15 at least. I've kind of ranked them right now until pro days hit. University of Michigan's pro day is on the 21st. So if you guys are in the area, I don't know if they're letting the public in. I just zipped off an email to see if I could get in. We'll see if it happens. I've never been to a Michigan pro day. I would love to go. I would love to go to get some additional information about the guys. So we'll see if we can make that happen. All right, before I get into all these edge rushers, thank you guys for all joining me tonight. Looks like we got a couple hundred people in. I appreciate you dealing with my issues to start. I know my camera looks fuzzy right now. I don't know what's going on with it, but we'll get it fixed before tomorrow morning. All right, so we've got Nick P in the house, Mr. Detroit City. Wants Landon Jackson or Jack Sawyer. So I'm not high on Jack. You'll find out why in a moment. Jay Cruisin says if injuries start piling up mid-season, I'm gonna trippity trip. I get it. Mason H says we will be better assuming Hutch comes back full strength. Mobility. We move up to grab the likes of Green in the draft and made 3 quality free agent pickups as starters. There you go. The Ronin 99's in the house. Don Burr says just got off a New York Jets podcast. They were discussing Detroit trading for Quentin Williams. Really? The AG connection, huh? I wouldn't be mad at that. What would it cost? John Desage says Aiden is coming back with a vengeance. We should extend him now. I would pause on that, John. And I think Aiden would pause on that. Because right now Brad has all the leverage. The Lions have all the leverage. You're injured. You're not playing. You didn't finish the season. So right now the team, they probably have a $10 million leverage bar right now that they're swinging. Aiden goes out and, crushes this season, then he has all the leverage. But then I don't think he's retained. Then I think it's franchise tag after franchise tag. Honestly. I don't know how you'd be able to afford him. Especially over $40 million a year. All right, let's do this. Welcome, everybody. Trace, appreciate you jumping in as always. Mike P. King SJ, all the way from Toronto. Adam Robarge. Ken Crittenden. Kevin Barr in the house. Orner U of M Dad. Says, here's to the next 6 months. Keep on rocking. Hey, appreciate you being a member for 6 months. I will dive into all the 6-month memberships and make sure that you guys get your 6-month membership package. Derek Lewis in the house. What else is in here? What other members do we have in this tonight? A lot of members in. All right, FYI, there is merch now on the Buy Me a Coffee. I don't want to sell it yet. I gotta order some samples. It's up, but don't buy it. If you're interested, I appreciate it, but let me get my samples, and then I'm just gonna give away the samples once I make sure that the quality is where I want it to be. Okay, here we go. Top 15 edge rushers tonight. And I'm going to start with number 15. We're going to go backwards. You know, I want to save kind of the best for last. I think you guys already know who number 1 is. That one's not hard to figure out. But the NFL draft, right? It's shaping up to not only be a historic event because it's in Green Bay and there's nothing out there in Green Bay. I think it's going to be a shit show, honestly. But for edge rushers and defensive tackles, like, this is a very deep pool of prospects. It could totally reshape defensive lines across the league, right? Not just a couple of teams, across the league. When we're talking 15 edge rushers that I'm about to talk about right now, I'll be honest with you when I tell you I think all 15 of these guys could be taken in the first 2 rounds. And I think that 10 of them legitly could have first round grades, depending on what you're looking at or what you're looking for, you know, where your roster is. If you look at a grade on a player and it doesn't matter what your roster is looking like if you're a best player available versus a needs guy, depending on what kind of GM you are, I think that there's 2 styles of a grade in the first round. I think that there's a GM that looks at it from, I got a hole and I want the best player for that hole. And I think that those grades are a little bit different than what Brad Holmes does. I think Brad Holmes looks at it from, I want the best football player, and I'm going to grade you that way. That, you know, I want to know where you rank. Is this halfback better than this corner? Is this corner better than this safety? So on and so forth. Whereas the other guys, I think that they're just trying to find the best football player wherever they can to fill a hole. But this edge rusher class and defensive line class, it's extremely deep. And I think that Brad is now set up to grab probably 2 in this draft. He might go back to back, you know, round 1 and 2. He might move around in the first round. He might back out of the first round. I think he might grab 2 in a row. Unless an offensive lineman slips into his path, he might grab 2 in a row. And then I think the Lions fan base is probably going to go, they're going to shut up. They're going to be like, oh, okay, we're good now. Especially if you get a guy like Aiden, right? I mean, Aiden came out and had a pretty good rookie season. He was wild, right? He was a little all over the place, but he still had a good rookie season. If we get another guy that can produce like Aiden and he fights his way, you know, onto the starting lineup, we're good. I think you guys would be happy. Those of you that are kind of in that mood that we need a $35 million guy, I think you'll finally realize that Brad did it the right way, assuming that's what's going to happen. So Josiah Stewart, now this one may come as a shocker. I have him as my 15th edge rusher right now. And the reason why, primarily, is because of size. Now, Josiah Stewart remains a very talented player, right? Significant potential. I think upside is high for this guy. His abilities could still, you know, make a difference at the next level. Unfortunately for him, his measurements were a bit unflattering to me. 6'1", 241 or 249 pounds, 31 and 7/8 arms. I think it was 7/8 arms, 9.5-inch hands. So arms undersized, height undersized, weight. I mean, if you're a 3-4 outside linebacker and you're rushing the quarterback that way, then 249 is not terrible. But with short arms and short height, it's just not, it's not for me, right? Could be for somebody else. Hassan Reddick comes to mind. But it, you know, that's just not my cup of tea. His instincts, though, I mean, I think they're average, but his pursuit range, in his closing burst, like, they can compensate for a little bit of a short arm and maybe not as long of his stride. But despite his lack of size and his length, I think the right ingredients are there for him. I think, you know, he's in place to become a very impactful player at some point and possibly even a starter within the first couple of seasons. I see him as probably a 2-year project. Maybe by year 3, things really come together for him, or they don't. I think that's Josiah Stewart in a nutshell. So Josiah Stewart is number 15. And I'm sorry to do this to the Michigan fans out there. And congratulations, by the way, on your Big Ten championship today. That's pretty cool. Too bad MSU couldn't get their head out of their ass against Wisconsin. But Jack Sawyer is number 14. I got no love for Ohio State. I have no love for Jack Sawyer. And I could see all of you right now thinking I'm just crazy. But I'm sorry. T-Rex syndrome is a thing. I mean, he's got these short little stubby arms. And that's just, for me, I can't put him above somebody else that has more of the prototypical size. I can't. I'm not making fun of his, physical assets or whatever you want to call it, right? I'm not making fun of him. I'm just saying, like, as a football player, those short arms ain't working for me. The same thing for Josiah Stewart. Maybe I should have put Josiah in front because his arms are like 1/8 of an inch longer, but unfortunately, Jack is 6'4". So there's a big difference. And I think that Jack can play, and he may not be the 14th guy taken off the board, in the edge class. But for me, when I rank these guys based on their size, height, weight, speed, right? Speed to power, and everything they do on the football field, I have him as the 14th guy. So he is a locker room leader. At least that's what we read about him. He can play a very pivotal role, just like he did at Ohio State. They went on a national championship run last season. He's famously known and recognized last year for forcing that fumble that led to the touchdown in that very critical playoff game. But at 6'4", 260 pounds, with the shorter arms at 31 3/4 and 9 3/4 inch hands, Jack in his short arms, it shows up on tape for me. It just does. Like, this is the NFL, so you can't really be deficient anywhere. You really can't. I think that he has difficulty unlocking off blocks. I think that it was evidenced by his slow power to neutralize and overcome run blocks. I mean, some of those bigger tackles would just latch on like a leech, and he couldn't get away. And they're not going to throw a flag. So he lacks that quick first step, and then when he gets locked in, he can't get away. He's missing kind of that twitchy stack and shed move that he needs. He needs to use speed and leverage to get around these guys and not take these guys head on. So it's probably more of a coaching thing. They'll teach him some new ways to get around it. But until I see it, that's just where I've got him. He does have a very, tenacious attitude, though. I think that he locates the football well. And I think that he racks up tackles when runners, get near his gap assignment or anywhere around him. He finds a way to get to the runner. He finds a way to get to the ball. So I'm not out on his motor, right? I think that he's a force-based rusher using strong hands. He has a relentless motor. I think that he's a pocket caving, charge to run, type of pressure guy. Like, he builds pressures by just charging the line. But his rush really lacks quickness for me. And at the next level, I think that Jack is going to struggle against some of these longer tackles. I mean, look at Joe Alt, right? Look at Giovanni Manu, for God's sakes. I mean, these guys have like 35, 36-inch arms. You're not going to get away from that. So he would project best in an even front scheme. I think that maybe a switch to inside linebacker might be in his future, honestly. Big shout out to Ed O'Neill. Says the Lions clearly have a type for rushers. Who fits that? I'm all for trading up. Keep up the good work, man. Hope all is well. Thanks for the helmet. Hey, no problem, buddy. Appreciate you. You earned that helmet for showing up, being part of Rockhound Detroit Lions. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, I think that we're only like 20 away from giving away another helmet. We'll just give it away tonight if we can get up to, heck, I don't even know where we're at. Where are we at? 8,800? Somewhere in that range? We got to get to 10 grand before this draft. We have to. But every 100, we'll give away a helmet. Number 13 for me. And this one I actually have more hope for. Jared Ivey, Ole Miss. Now, Jared Ivey is a promising pass rusher, in my opinion. He's projected to be drafted on day 2. And honestly, at 13, like, I'm expecting all of these guys to get taken in the first 2 days. Or the first 2 rounds, to be honest with you. I think that we're going to see a run on edges like you normally see a run on wide receivers, or running backs. They just kind of go in groups, or corners. They go in groups. I think it's going to happen in this draft. You're going to see like 3, 4, 5 of them taken, and then another, 10 picks go, and then it's 3, 4, 5 more edge rushers off the board. So anyway, his performance, it kind of garnered a lot of attention last season. I think, coming from Ole Miss, they had a lot of playmakers on that football team. And it really made him stand out last year because he was part of the solution, not the problem for Ole Miss last year. A lot of good ball players coming out of that school in this year's draft. Now, he stands at 6'6". He's 274, and he has prototypical arms, 33.5-inch arms. That is like the minimum for me to be an elite option at pass rusher. Ivy meets that prototypical size for me. He needs to play with a little bit more violence, though. I think that he's a little bit soft when he does engage. He has enough disruption, and I think that he has disruption potential to become a rotational 4-3 defensive end with sub-rush potential inside. So he is someone that does project well to become a Detroit Lion late in the second round. This is a guy that you could find at pick 60, potentially. I'm not settled yet on where I feel like these guys are going to go. That'll be like the last mock draft that I do where I figure out, okay, are these guys 1 through 16, 16 through 32, 33 through 45, where they I'm not so sure on Ivy right now. I've got to get through all the pro days and get the rest of their sizes and their speeds and all that stuff and see some more tape before I can figure it out, at least to take my dart shot in the dark, right? That's all it is. How about this guy, JT Tui Malo? Tui Malo? Yeah, I just butchered his name. Tui Malo? I don't even know. I probably should have looked it up and researched it and read it a few times, but I didn't. So, JTT, how about that? Standout. Big time standout last year. I think he had a great season. I need to pull something up on him, though, real quick. JT. Tui Molo. Is that it? Tui Molo? Anyway, Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State had a couple of really good athletes, right? Especially in the edge class. And JT was one of them. I think that JT benefited from Jack Sawyer in a meaningful way. I think that JT was also overshadowed by Jack Sawyer at the same time. I think that JT is a better edge rusher than Jack. I think that JT could be a better football player than Jack. The problem is I don't think that JT got enough attention and he didn't get enough time. So this is a guy that maybe is a little bit raw still, but I see that rawness turning into more greatness. And you can't deny his height, weight, speed. You can't deny any of that. Power rush really helped him tear through the expanded college football playoff last season, man. He powered up 6.5 sacks over 4 games. When you talk about guys that produce in big moments, JT is one of them. His rush plan, though, his handwork, kind of needed some refinement, needed a little bit of help. He needs to go to what we call hand school for edge rushers. They got to get in some MMA drills or some martial arts training, something to kind of work on their hand fighting skills. JT's very rugged edge defender, though. He's got size, length, toughness to play up or down in hybrid fronts. I think that he measured in at 6'4", 265, big arms, 33 3/4, 10.5-inch mitts, big hands. So top to bottom, the guy fits the bill. He's still raw. I think that his traits, though, his demeanor, everything about him really fit the profile to become a really good starter in the NFL. He might start year 1, but I think that year 2 for JT, you're going to see an explosion off the page for this guy. I think that JT is going to be one of those surprises that we talk about in 2026 when we kind of look back at the draft and where these guys were taken. However, I got to see more, right? It's still early. We just got through the combine. Now we got through free agency, but we need to see more of these guys as far as all of their scores at the pro days, because a lot of these guys didn't do enough work or even, show up at the combine and do anything. So we're at 12 already. We haven't even gotten into the top 10. One sec, I just lost something. There it is. All right, there we go. So where do you guys have these, first 4 guys that we're talking about? I have JT at 12, Jared at 13, Jack Sawyer at 14, Josiah Stewart at 15. Go ahead and mock it with me. Put your numbers in there. Tell me where you think these guys belong, especially in the comments later. Do your 1 through 15. They could be different guys. They absolutely could be. This next guy, I think, is someone that is going to break the top 10. And his name is Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina. Kyle Kennard's talent, evident. It stands out. I think that he's expected to contribute immediately on passing downs in the NFL. He may not be a 3-down guy, right away, but on passing downs, I'm expecting to see Kyle get about, 35, 45% of snaps potentially in his first season. He keeps his long frame clean, very well-timed punches. He has plus range. And as a playmaker, these are all things that you need, right? Being rangy is important, but he's also slippery. Like the way that he bends and tucks and rips and gets underneath some of these tackles, when he finds the edge and he hammers it, man. He gets on it and he stays in it and he drives to the quarterback. 6'4", 254 pounds. He was a little bit light at the combine, and a lot of these guys dropped a lot of weight. But 34-inch arms you can't deny. And you can't deny his height. I mean, that perfect size for me is 6'3.5" to 6'5". That is a perfect edge rusher in my book. The 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" guys, there's a use for them. I think they're too tall because they lose bend as they get taller. I think that 6'3" to 6'4.5" or 6'3.5" to 6'4.5", you're still able to kiss the ground. You're still able to bend and get low, which is what you need to do as an edge rusher. But Kennard is great length, great size. It fits, in my opinion, more as a wide 9 technique where you can avoid early contact. You can create that rush momentum from the outside, hit it with speed, hit that bend, get around the tackle, get to the quarterback. He's definitely a day 2 pick right now, but he might work his way up. I don't think he cracks 1, but he might work his way up into the early part of round 2. 2024, he was a second team AP All-American. He was an SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He was a first-team All-SEC. He won the Nagurski Trophy as the nation's top defender. He was a finalist for the Lombardi Award as the nation's top offensive lineman and defensive lineman. He led the team with 15.5 TFLs. He led the SEC and ranked 8th in the FBS with 11.5 sacks. He started 12 games and 28 tackles, 1 pass breakup, and 3 forced fumbles for Kyle Kennard, South Carolina. He is my number 11, and now we're going to get into the top 10 edge rushers for the 2025 NFL Draft. It was hard for me. It was hard for me to keep Kyle out of the top 10. And let me look at my list real quick. It's really hard to put him in the top 10. But I think that there could be a shakeup. There could be a shakeup once we get through some of these pro days. Ronan99 says he likes Kennard. Ads off. We can get ads off. You got 80 likes going? Yeah, we'll get ads off for you guys. No problem. I got you. There you go. Done and doneer. Eric Delec says Olafemi Oladejo will be the steal of this draft. Oladejo is a guy that we recognized in, I think it was the Reese's Bowl. We were live watching the Reese's Bowl together, and we were watching him work, and he can work. Like he's good. I think he's a little bit raw, a little bit too raw right now, but we'll see. But I think you're right. I think that he'll end up being a steal wherever he's taken because he's going to end up turning out to be a pretty good football player. Okay, at number 10, can you guys guess? Who would you put at number 10? Let me just give you some names. Who would you put at number 10? All right, so we got guys like Shamar Stewart, Princely, Umenamilin. I don't know. I think so. Donovan Eziraku. I think I got that one right. Eziraku. I don't know. I suck with these names. Nick Scourton or Squirton. I don't know. You tell me. Landon Jackson. Who's at number 10? All right, I'll tell you. Number 10, Landon Jackson. Now, this is a crazy one for me because you guys know I love Landon Jackson. I think that this guy's height, weight, speed, everything that he does from snap to whistle, he definitely deserves to be a first-round pick. I think that he backs into the first round still. It just depends on what he does at his pro day and how he impresses the rest of his interviews. But Landon Jackson, very impressive showing at the combine. I thought that, the way that he worked out that day, I had a front row seat. Fun to watch. Really, just one of those energy guys. positioning himself, in my opinion, to be that borderline first round pick 32, 31, 28 even, if the Lions stay there. 6'6", 264 pounds, 33.25-inch arms, borderline on the arm length for me, but it's the rest of the body is there. 10.5-inch hands. Jackson is just a natural edge bender. He really is. He stayed low on the hoop drill. He plays with connected hands and feet, which means that he's playing together, right? He's working together. He's not out of sync. And that'll allow him to develop more and be more impactful on his rush counters. When he's not off balance and he is staying connected, he will be able to counter some of these tackles moves a little bit easier without losing balance. Contact balance is huge in the NFL, more so for running backs, but even for these edge rushers, man, when they're running full speed and you run into a brick wall, right, you got to make sure that you can stay on your feet, and you've got to be able to power through these guys. And Jackson does that very, very well. Easily one of the more underrated prospects in this draft. And I think that he's going to shock the NFL. I really do. I think whoever takes a swing on this guy, even if it's extremely early in the first round, it's going to be a great pick. 2024 season for him, he was a second team All-SEC. He led the team with 6.5 sacks. He tied for the team lead with 9.5 TFLs. He did start 12 games where he produced 49 tackles, 3 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, and 1 blocked kick. So let me throw this at you. The one thing that I've noticed about some of these players, and the one thing that I'm really high on, is the pass breakups. So whether that's dropping into coverage and you're putting a hand up, or you're batting a ball down, I like to see these guys get their hands up, right? We don't see that with the Lions a whole lot. I don't think it's taught enough for the Detroit Lions. Like, our defensive line needs to get their hands up more often. When that ball's coming out of the quarterback, they need to get those hands up and try to, swat that thing. We need more batted balls. So I like to see a guy that has active hands, someone that is looking and making sure that they can do something on that play. If they're engaged and they can't get off their block, that they're at least trying to get those hands up and knock it down. All right, number 9. Number 9, this is another shocker. It's another shocker. You guys are going to think I'm nuts. That's right, many people do. Nick Scorton or Scourton. Texas A&M. You guys know how high I am on Nick, especially sitting with his family at the combine. I couldn't be more impressed. I couldn't be more impressed with him, with Shamar Stewart. With all of these guys. Just the way that family talked about him. These guys don't get in trouble. They do their school. They do their football. They play their video game. They stay out of trouble. And Nick, everything that I watched that day, he didn't have the greatest days. Or he didn't have the greatest day at the combine because he kept losing his feet. His shoes kept flying off. And I don't think it hurt him overall, from an NFL scouting perspective, because he'll still have a pro day. But I didn't get to see enough from Nick that day, where I did get to see more of some of the other players who kept their shoes on. So this is simply if your shoes stayed on, I'd probably have you higher, Nick. I really would. But anyway, let's talk about him. Very, very physical edge presence by this gentleman. He's definitely has the potential to create all sorts of havoc on all 3 downs. And that is the difference between Nick and some of the other football players that I've already mentioned. Nick is a 3-down guy. He can definitely power across the blocker's face. He gets into gaps, but he's kind of been a little bit more average at setting the edge sometimes. And then other times, it's like he's one of the best to set the edge and contain. So I need to see a little bit more. Maybe I haven't watched enough or the right tape, but I've been saying that Nick has been one of the purest edge setters that I've seen, but I came across some tape today while I was waiting on my PC, and I'm like, wait a second here. He's having a little trouble. So I backed him down a couple until I see more. But he plays with adequate hustle. I think that he's got great range in pursuit. He hits runners with very heavy pads. When I watched him punch those bags at the combine, there's a reason why you heard that pop all the way up in the stands. Him and his brother practice boxing together. So Nick has a very quick right. Very quick right. And when he's popping those pads, just like he's going to be doing in the NFL, popping, the side of the shoulder pads or, on the front, whatever, It's because he's taken the time to do something different than just play football, right? He's boxing, so he's learning different things. He's using different muscles and preparing. That's why he's so good at it. Very electric rusher, very mature pass rush plan. I think that he has all sorts of pass rush moves, and he's very consistent and consecutive play after play after play. He's able to utilize a different move each play, in that set of downs. He won't outrace or bulldoze tackles. That's just not his style. He utilizes tempo alterations. Sometimes he hits him with a curveball. The next time he comes up, it's a fastball. The next time he does a little bit of a changeup and hiccup, or he does a little bit of a hezzy or a two-step. He's got plenty of options, and it's only going to get more, refined as he enters the NFL. That bag is going to get bigger, deeper, and more pronounced. I think that his pass rush moves are going to get that much better. A lot of teams that he went up against threw a lot of chips and double teams his way. And I think that it was done out of concern and respect for the type of player he is. One of the biggest knocks on Nick, and as a matter of fact, Shamar Stewart, is these guys didn't produce any sacks, right? 4, 5, 6 sacks in a season. And people are looking at production like, this isn't enough. This isn't enough for a guy that should be in the first round. Why are people so high on him? Well, I'll tell you why. That Texas A&M defense was not about sacks. You had all of these guys doing a job. Everyone had a different job on this team. Their number one job was to just shut down the run. They weren't proactive trying to get after the quarterback on every single play. Not every single play was to get after the quarterback, so you're not going to get a sack. You have to study the defense a little bit deeper to understand what they were doing. And I think that that's why production-wise for both of these guys is a little bit light, but you can't deny when they do get after the quarterback, the production that they do have. At 6'3", he's right there for me. Right size, 260 pounds. He dropped 14, 15 pounds, something like that, before the combine. So everything that he did, he was heavier. And the fact that he got a little bit lighter and was producing even better at the combine, it was meaningful, right? I mean, I think that you're going to see a faster Nick at his pro day. 33-inch arms, 10-inch hands. He's got prototypical everything going on. Size, demeanor, rush talent. Give him a chance to become a very productive 3-down starter off the edge. His pro day is going to tell us a lot more. And I can't wait to really deliver my final take on Nick this season, because I think that he's going to improve as his pro day, hopefully, is a good day for him. 2024 season outlook, he led the team with 5 sacks. He ranked 3rd in the SEC with 14 tackles for loss. See, that's a number that I would more pay attention to, right? The tackles for loss. So he's getting into the backfield. It's just like a sack, right? You're sacking the running back, or you're sacking, a wide receiver that's doing an end around or whatever, right? Or a tight end that's taking a handoff. Whatever they're doing, you still getting into the backfield, creating a stop and a tackle for loss. To me, that's just as important. I'd rather see 20 tackles for loss and 5 sacks than 20 sacks and no tackles for loss. That's just me, though. I'm different. So he had 2 passes defensed, 1 forced fumble. He was also named a Lombardi Award semifinalist, a Walter Camp All-American second team, All-SEC first team selection, and a Lot Impact Trophy finalist. So pay attention to Nick Scourton, or Scourton, however you'd like to refer to him. I think that his stock is going to continue to rise big time. Next up, number 8, Princely Umenamian. We're going to go with that. Umenamian. It's wrong, but it is what it is. Ole Miss. Princely U, very explosive pass rusher. He excelled at Ole Miss. Remember, we talked about Ole Miss a little bit earlier with Ivy. And this is a guy that, in my opinion, that is only going to get better with time. He's like a fine wine. I think the longer that he trains and gets ready, right, the more that he just gravitates to doing the right things in practice, this guy's going to get better. You can't deny his size, right? He's got good size. He's a little bit lean right now, but he's got good size. But he contributed significantly to the team's record-setting season in Ole Miss. He has elite burst off the line, elite pass rushing skills that make him a player that everybody needs to keep their eyes on. Even if he falls to a day 2 due to depth in this year's class, someone is going to steal him. Because there's no way this guy should fall out of round 1. But if we're talking 8 edge rushers that could potentially go in round 1, and I think there's 10, someone's going to be falling into the second round, but I don't think that they're going to make it past pick 50. I think all of these guys are gone by pick 50, which means the Lions have to do something. They're picking at 28, or they've got to move up from 60, up into the mid 40s, early 40s, or the back end of the 30s. Hell, just get us 3 picks in the 30s, we'd be good. Where was I? He's a finesse edge defender. He's got a lot of pass rush skill, if you will, moves, traits, athleticism, high upside. I think that, to have his sack production last year and watch it translate into the NFL, I don't think that there's any denying the fact that he can't be a serious ground gainer at the next level. The burst, like I've said, the stride, the bend, he creates very shallow edges. It leads directly into the quarterback's drop space. This guy finds the quarterback, and he utilizes natural mobility. It doesn't look stressed. It doesn't look like he's, how do I put it? It doesn't look like he's out of control, like he stays in control, very balanced. He also takes predictable pathways, though, and that's probably the only knock that I have on him. He's too predictable at times. Maybe not the best instincts. Some of those things can sharpen over time. I think some of it's coaching. But instincts, it's one of those things you either have or you don't. But I think with the right coaching, you can develop a few, or some better instincts, if you will, think differently. Sometimes it's just someone has to tell you something different and get you to think differently. But he's simply hard to keep out of the pocket. I think that with all of his attributes that he does possess. 6'4". Like I said, he was a little bit light at the combine, 244 pounds. But he does have 33 7/8 inch arms, 9 5/8 inch hands, so he's prototypical there. Princely does lack a little bit of play strength and aggression as a run defender. So if you're looking for a 3-down guy, I don't think it's Princely right now. I think that he's more of a second, probably in a third down guy. He will have trouble setting edges at times, and it might not be an early down option for him to be in against the run game. He is an ascending stand-up edge rusher, though, who might be just kind of scratching the surface right now. I almost see him in a 3-4 system. Maybe not a 4-3. Maybe a little bit more of a 3-4 system. Or you could probably kick him out, in a wide 9-2, but more off-ball. This next guy I really like. I was hot to trot on this next guy very early in the process. I had him as a first-round talent, I think, before a lot of people recognized just how good he is, and you can't deny his length. His size may not be great, but his length is. And I'm talking about number 7, Donovan Ezier Uwaku. I did it again. I butchered it up. Why do these guys have to have these crazy names, right? I mean, we're going to have to study them like crazy. I don't say them enough. Slightly undersized. I think he projects more of an outside linebacker type, 3-4. Very long arms. He's got plus athleticism, though. This guy is sneaky fast. Ezeraku uses every bit of his length paired with aggression, though. It mitigates the lack of size for him, I think, or the size differences for him at the point of attack. And he gets engulfed at times, but typically separates from or he slips blocks cleanly. Unlike some guys that get locked in and they can't get away, he's able to shed and get away or shed and move. He's quick off the snap. He uses a bend and an agility move to kind of win at the top of the rush. And he makes stops in the backfield routinely. I mean, the guy's always in the backfield making stops. His hands exploit small advantages to turn them into big ones. And he has a variety of ways to challenge protection, though he's still learning his craft a bit. He's still fairly raw coming from Boston College. I think that Ezeraku's play demeanor, his skill, his athletic talent I think that these are all underpinnings of an athlete as a productive starter in the NFL with 3 down value. Maybe not to start, but I think that he does have 3 down value. Now, he led the nation with 17 sacks last season. 17 sacks. Donovan Ezra is an explosive pass rusher. I think that there's no other way to say it. He has a set of advanced pass rush moves. He's got a bag that is full, and I think that once he gets to the next level, it's only going to get more pronounced. He may start as a specialist, just a third down pass rush specialist, kind of like your James Houston, but I think that his ability, tenfold over a James Houston. This guy is going to end up being a 3 down guy soon, but I don't think he's going to start that way. His 2024 stats look like this. He won the Ted Hendricks Award as the nation's top defensive end. He was a first-team Associated Press All-American. He was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He was a first-team All-ACC. He ranked second in the FBS with 17 sacks. Some had him at 16.5 sacks. He was third with 20.5 TFLs. He led the team with 3 forced fumbles. He played in 12 games with 11 starts, 80 tackles, and a pass breakup. He did not play in the team's Pinstripe Bowl, lost to Nebraska, and he also was a team captain, which is a Brad Holmes kind of guy. Brad loves team captains. Who did I have at 8? At 8, I had Princely Umenemian, and then Donovan Ezraku. Number 6, I don't think that this one is a shocker by any means. I think that this guy belongs here until he doesn't. But the problem for me is I don't know what I don't know right now. And that is Mike Green. I got to turn it. Okay, so we don't know what we don't know about Mike Green right now. We have no idea if his legal stuff, is going to get in the way. No clue. I don't even know what's going on with it. So I got him at number 6 right now. Simply, he's kind of parked kind of right in the middle of the top 10. You can't deny what he does on film. I'm only going to question coming from Marshall, just like Quinton Mitchell coming from Toledo, the competition, right? I'm going to question that. So I'm not going to put him, up at number 3 or number 4 or number 5, simply because I think that there's a level of competition here that's non-existent for Marshall. And Mike Green just, he was obviously the best football player on the field no matter what game he went to, which is not a bad thing. But I think that he gained this national attention with all of these standout performances against Ohio State being one of them, which, that was a great litmus test, right? Going up against Ohio State, national championship team. Now, despite concerns about his size, which I definitely have, a little bit of concern, not much, he does have advanced pass rushing moves. This guy is polished. You want to talk about a shoe that's shiny. This guy is polished. He definitely has the pass rush moves to make it at the next level. This guy reminds me, to some degree, even though Von Miller's more of a backer, he's kind of got that Von Miller-esque to him. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but at the same time, he just finds a way to get home. My biggest thing for Mike Green is he's just relentless. Like effort. He just doesn't stop. And I think that could, bode well to the next level. My biggest concern is 8.5-inch hands. And we're talking tiny hands. 32-inch arms, not quite, the T-Rex, but pretty short on the arm length. He's only 6'3", with short arms and small hands, and he's light at 250 pounds. So those are concerns for me. And I could see where Mike Green might actually drop a little bit in this draft. And I know you're probably thinking I'm nuts, and that's okay. We'll all be made liars on draft day anyway. So That's why I got him at number 6, because I can't put him ahead of Shamar Stewart. Can't put him ahead of Michael Williams. I got him at number 6 right now. So 6'3", 251 pounds, 32-inch arms, 8.5-inch hands is why I have this guy at number 6. And we don't have his 40. We don't have his 10 split. We don't have his vertical. I know that he benched 28 times, and that's it. So I need to see more at the pro day. That'll at least satisfy, some of the stuff. The tape, we have the tape. And that's why I still have him at 6. I'm going to give him a little bit of respect until someone takes him higher. I think that he's at the back end. I hate to say it, I think he's at the back end of the first round. I think he could slip that far, even being at 6. I think he could slip. There might be a guy that jumps him. Next up. Now, this guy really needs no introduction. I think that, honestly, this is going to end up being, at least right now, I think that he's going to end up being the best overall edge rusher in the class. I have mocked him, or comped him, to the best edge rusher in the NFL currently today, and that is Myles Garrett. Shamar Stewart had number 5. He cracks the top 5 at number 5. And part of the way that this list is constructed is, where do I think these guys are going to be taken in order? And then also, where do they belong next to, all the other guys on the list? I think that Shamar Stewart should be at number 2, right next to Abdul Carter, to be honest with you. Because of his elite freakness, right? Or freak eliteness, however you want to say it. I think that Shamar Stewart, given the next year or two in the NFL, getting bigger, stronger, faster, eating the right foods, getting coached up, he's going to turn on that switch. And you're going to see a guy that is going to mold into probably one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. That's my call. That's my long shot call 2-3 years down the road right now for Shamar Stewart. I have him comped as the next Myles Garrett. Now, he's not going to enter the league as a Myles Garrett because Myles was crushing the college, or crushed the stats in college. Shamar didn't have that because that defense didn't allow it. But you can't deny this dude. Athletic freak. He put it all on display at the combine. It's funny that everyone started drawing comparisons to Myles Garrett shortly after, the combine. I did too. Like, I couldn't see another comparison. You know what led me to that comparison was my sheet that I do. My own PFF, sheet that I make that has all the measurements in it, and it, puts these guys into a class. And he was right there next to Myles Garrett. And I'm like, I can't believe it. The way that this guy measured out, I mean, look what he did at the combine. 4.59 40, a 1.58 10-yard split, a 40-inch vertical, 10-foot 11-inch broad jump, 6'5", 34 and 1/8-inch arms, 9 5/8-inch hands, and 267 pounds. That is just craziness to me that he was able to do all of that with that crazy big body. Even though I told Nick Scorton's dad, Nicky, that I wanted Nick Scorton to be a Detroit Lion in a bad way, and I still do, I would take Shamar Stewart if Shamar Stewart was there and available. And I would also trade up if I were the Detroit Lions to go and get him. I would. But it depends on what it costs. Now, in a draft where there's this deep of defensive linemen, it's not going to cost as much as what it would have last year because it's a watered-down class. If there was only a handful of guys in this draft, it would cost you a ton. But because there's legit 30 defensive linemen that are probably going to get taken in the first 3 rounds, it's a watered-down class to be able to move up. And this is where Brad can actually move up and feel good about it the next day that he didn't give up too much. So Shamar Stewart, athletic freak. Love this kid. And again, when I was sitting next to the Scortons, I asked him about Shamar too. And the one thing that Nicky said is he has everything. Shamar has everything. He has the physical gifts, right? He's got the speed, the height, weight, speed, right? He has it all. There's just a switch that he said in his brain that just needs to switch on. And he said, someone's going to be able to switch that on. And once it happens, you're not going to stop this dude. And I love how he said that switch just needs to get turned on. But he's a good kid, right? I mean, these guys have been getting paid. They don't get in trouble. And I think that's another big component to being a Detroit Lion is just being a good overall good dude, right? Or just being an overall good dude. I will say this too. I'm very high on Landon Jackson. Very high on, even though I have him down on my sheet. Landon in Detroit makes perfect sense, just like Shamar in Detroit makes perfect sense. So if the Lions don't get Shamar and they somehow land Landon at 28 or even 45, we're still fine. We're still totally fine. Both of those guys are going to turn out to be, I've got Landon comped as the next Trey Hendrickson. Almost a mirror image. And I think that's what you're going to see. So a little bit of a bio on Stewart here. Look, Stewart is carved from granite, man. Processing a very rare blend. This is coming right from the NFL page. I'm going to read it. Stewart is carved from granite, possessing a rare blend of traits, explosiveness, and untapped upside. He's long and sudden off the snap, but hasn't learned to weaponize his hands to control the point of attack and bypass protection with go-to moves. His bull rush compresses the pocket off the edge, and he's too athletic for guards when reduced inside. He can be very disruptive in both phases, but requires additional training to start converting his opportunities into finishes. The lack of production relative to the traits is a concern, and see, and I would disagree. I think that some of these guys, like for the NFL that are writing this stuff down, I don't think that they looked at the overall defensive strategy. It wasn't just Stewart that wasn't getting home. It was nobody, right? It's set the edge, contain, control the run. That's why the defense was so good. But when they went, and they typically got home. What I see for Shamar, because there's something in here that they talk about that does translate to the tape that I've watched, is when he's reduced inside, the guard play, it's like child's play to him. I could see it right now where he is jumping over DJ Reader. I got Reed in the back of my mind because of DJ Reed. Jumping over Reader, right, to slam inside on a guard. You know, a little stunt, little twist action here or there. I think that's where Stewart's going to have a lot of fun and a lot of success early in the NFL. A lot of stunts, a lot of twists. Get these guys inside. Match them up against, some of these guards that just don't have the length that he has. And the power. Look, he's very disruptive in all phases. The tape is fun to watch on Shamar. I just think that if he would have been in a different defense, this guy probably would have had 18, 19 sacks if he would have been in a different defense. But that just wasn't the case. I think it's only a matter of time before, the clock strikes 12 in this case, and that switch gets turned on, and he's just going to go, 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 go. I'm ready to see Shamar. I hope the Lions get him, but whatever team ends up with him, I hope it's not the Commanders. They're going to have a lot of fun with this guy. Third team All-SEC in 2024. He started 12 games, 31 tackles, 5.5 TFLs, 1.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble. He did not play in the team's Las Vegas Bowl against USC. Obviously, he didn't want to get injured. So Shamar Stewart at number 5. And then it was Mike Green before that at number 6. All right, next up, we got 4 more to go, man. 4 more to go. Michael Williams, Georgia. It's hard to keep him at 4. The next 2 don't make a lot of sense for me because I think that those guys are more linebackers than anything. But Michael Williams, man, this guy is fun. He is, he's exactly what you want. I just think that he's exactly out of the reach for the Lions. Unless something happens, unless someone prints some dirt on this guy and screws his draft all up, which I hope somebody doesn't do, this guy he's legit. He's going to be fun. But Michael Williams is the clear winner of the prototype edge rusher in from my measurements, from my sheet, like he's the winner. 6'5", 260 pounds, 34 3/8 inch arms, 10 1/4 inch hands. I mean, just a monster, right? And his wingspan, his ape score is just, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Let me get it pulled up. Michael Williams right now, even though I don't have all the rest of his scores, I don't have a 40, I don't have a 10-yard, I don't have a vert, I don't have a broad, nothing. He's going to be one of the most elite scorers out of the entire draft. His ape score is a 1.07. And if you're just now joining, please subscribe. I'd love for you guys to join the Rockhound Detroitlions. What I'm talking about with ape score is the difference between the wingspan, right, and your height. When you divide those two, you get something called an ape score. And what that tells you is, you know, how wide these guys are between the shoulders, and can they add some weight? You know, if their ape score is really low, then that means not only can they not get long, right? They can't get long on these tackles, but they generally can't add any weight. So if you're coming in at, let's say, 250 pounds, but you have an ape score of 108, well, you could probably add 15 or 20 pounds to that frame and you won't lose any speed. But if you come in at 250 pounds and your ape score is a 101, you're maxed out. Not really going to add a whole lot of weight to that frame, and you definitely can't get long on the tackles. So you could have short arms, but if you have a long wing, remember, that's half your breastbone, right? You can get long on some of these tackles, which makes all the difference. Your average NFL fan doesn't think of these things, right? It's not like every day that we dive into statistics and analytics like this to figure out who these guys are, who they can be, and how they can play on the football field. But that's where I spend my time. That's my fun, right? I don't play video games or anything like that. I do like a nice sandy beach, though, somewhere down in Mexico. I do like that. 2024, this guy was a second-team All-SEC. He was tied for the team lead with 2 forced fumbles. He played in 12 games with 6 starts, 21 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, and a pass breakup. He did play through an ankle injury, though, that he suffered in the season opener. So I think that does impact his tape quite a bit. But you can tell, you know, maybe throughout the season that he was hampered by something. So it was good to find out after the fact that he did have something going on. This guy is going to be a star at the next level. Michael Williams was one of my favorite guys at the Combine. If you guys remember when we did the Combine, you know, post show, I was like, man, I had all my notes all messed up. I was unorganized, but Michael Williams kept popping up on my list and I couldn't spit it out. He was my favorite guy to watch. I mean, he blasted through all of those drills, did a great job. I think that his potential at the next level is going to be great. I think that he's going to be a 3-down football player in no time. I don't want to say that he's raw. I'm a little concerned that he didn't get more of the starts last year, but it's also Georgia. You know, it's a stacked football team. And again, I think that that's where I would call into question some of the scheme that he was in. Maybe he could have had more production. You could see Michael Williams drop. I'm not saying that he should, but he could. All right, the next guy. Next guy is James Pierce, Tennessee. Now, a lot of people have him at number 2. A lot of people have him at number 2. And I get it. I think James Pierce is more of a linebacker. Am I nuts for thinking that? I don't know why. I see the guy as more of a linebacker. There we go. Now he comes up. Okay, James Pierce showcased his athleticism at the Combine. I mean, he really showed up, right? He ran a 4.47, fastest edge at the day, or on the day. 1.56 split. His vert wasn't extremely impressive, 31 inches. He did get a pretty good broad jump off, though, at 10'3", so 123 inches, which is really good. At 6'5", 32 3/4 inch arms. 245 pounds has me a little bit concerned. 10-inch hands. But when I look at his ape score, as soon as I can find it, he was a 1.05. So his wing to his height, he's well above average. So he can add some weight. So that's why I'm not too worried about the weight there. I don't think that he's going to slip at all, but I could see him transitioning into more of a 3-4 defense. I don't really think he would fit Detroit a whole lot. I mean, you would love to have a football player like that, but I think that the Lions want to have a football player that fits. I don't think he fits. I don't think the scheme fits for him. In Tennessee, I don't know. They do some weird stuff over there, both sides of the ball. But he's extremely quick, right? Bend around the edge, makes him a top prospect. I think that he's got significant upside. You know, if we take a look at what the NFL posted on him, their little overview. Let's see what they had to say here. Pierce is a tight-hipped, not good, linear pass rusher with explosive takeoffs and good speed to power, but lacks bend to flatten the top. His high pressure rate is partially derived from an instinctive feel for positioning, allowing him to work around protection for quick wins into the pocket. He's very long but narrow through his hips, so the build out of his frame might be limited. That's interesting. I just said the same thing. Pierce knows how to play around blocks and has the speed to close and tackle, but his base is naturally narrow and lacks bend. See, that's not great. He'll need to improve his strength and technique as an NFL run defender. Despite those concerns, Pierce's length, twitch, and rush production create a higher ceiling than normal. So maybe this guy's not going to be a 3-down guy to start the season, or whatever team he lands with. He might be, a specialist again, a pass rush specialist. I like to see guys that are wound like rubber bands. You just snap those rubber bands and those ligaments, just popping off the line, and that's Pierce, right? He's wound tight like a rubber band. The guy can explode off the line, but at 245 pounds, I feel like the guy's just going to get tossed around if he's not able to slip in between or get around the outside using his speed. So I'm not as high on Pierce, but he does belong where he is, in my opinion. He's one of the best to do it coming out of college. I'm just not so sure that the NFL is going to feel the same way. We'll see. Detroit City. That's funny. Shakira said the hips don't lie. That's hilarious. Next up is Jalon Walker. Now, you're probably wondering why I put him there at number 2. Number 2 on my list, especially when he should be as a linebacker, right? And he should be. He should be a linebacker. But I think he's going to get used as a rusher. I really do. Now, normally I wouldn't put him here. The list would have ended right now with Abdul Carter. And I think that Jalon Walker does project as a linebacker too. I think that he's more of an outside linebacker. I think that he's going to end up in a 3-4 system. So when you look at pure edge rushers, he really doesn't belong. I think that he's going to be a pass rusher in an outside linebacker in a 3-4 system. Jalon Walker has so much upside to him. He's fun to watch. I think he's a game changer. I think that he has everything up in the, upstairs from the shoulder up that you want in a football player. I think that his performance as a situational pass rusher has really shown to be a difference maker when he's in the right scheme, and that's why I have him at number 2. So if you put him in the right scheme, he's a perfect fit, and he's going to get you a lot of pressure and sacks on the quarterback. But at 6'1", 32-inch arms, 243 pounds, 10.25-inch hands. His hands are the best thing he has. Honestly, Jalon Walker at number 2 is only there because I think that he's the best linebacker of the group. As a pass rusher, he's probably number 10 for me. Maybe. And that's because of his size. But as an outside backer, I think that he fits at number 2. The last guy is Abdul Carter. Really don't need to say anything here about Abdul Carter other than the fact that this guy, he's either all in or all out. That's what I noticed about Abdul Carter. He's either all in on the play or he's all out on the play. I'm not saying he takes a lot of plays off, but I noticed motor issues with him at time, or time to time at least. He's either all in or he's kind of just drifting down the line. He's kind of just drifting into the backfield. He's not punching his way through it, right? He's not fighting his way. He's just kind of, I'm just kind of here. Oh, here's a running back. I'm going to tackle him. He lacks the oomph for me, but you can't deny what he's done. You can't. He's a pure edge rusher. He has the size to prove it. He has the tape to prove it. He is the edge rusher of this draft class. He has incredible speed, incredible ability to disrupt an offensive game plan. I think that he is expected to be a top 5 pick, and I'm sure that's going to stand even with the foot issue. His performance at Penn State, I think it solidified his opportunity and his status as a premier talent. But there's some things about his game that I really don't like, and that is his lackadaisical approach on some plays. And I'm not sure if that's going to translate over to the NFL or not. I don't know if other teams see that, but I feel like he gets a little bit lazy, almost like I'm too good for this and I can take a play off, but I'm still here. I don't like that attitude from players. I want to see these guys going, man, all the time and not take these plays off. So anyway, my list: Abdul Carter, Jelon Walker at number 2, James Pierce at number 3, Mykel Williams at number 4, Shamar Stewart at number 5, Mike Green at number 6. This is all pre-pro day, by the way. Number 7, Donovan Ezeraku. Number 8, Princely Umenemian. Butchered that name, I'm sure. Nick Scourton at number 9. Number 10, Landon Action Jackson. I don't know if anyone calls him Action Jackson. I just do. I just do. Number 11, Kyle Kennard. Number 12, JT Tui Mola, whatever. JTT from Ohio State. 13, Jared Ivey. 14, Jack Sawyer. And number 15, Josiah Stewart. That is my top 15 edge rushers. I do believe the Lions are going to definitely land a top tier edge rusher in this class. Here's the thing. I am just as comfortable with the Lions ending up with Jared Ivey or JT or Kyle Kennard as I am with them landing a Landon Jackson, a Nick Scourton, a Princely, a Donovan Ezeraku, or a Shamar Stewart. Obviously, Shamar is the one that I would really love to see. I would love to see him snag a Shamar and then back it up with a Kyle Kennard or Jared Ivey, to be honest with you. Lions are going to get somebody. And the point that I'm trying to make is they're going to get one of these 15. I can almost guarantee it. Cash that check in the bank right now. It's good. You can almost guarantee it's going to be one of these 15. And if it's 12 out of the 15 that I really like, we're in great shape. We are in great shape. This is a deep draft. The Lions have done a great job with being able to head into this draft without any worries. They're going to be able to do what they want to do. So, all right, let's get into the chat for just a moment. What if the Lions landed 2 of them? Yeah, I hope they do. You know, that's why I was going over the list earlier of where this team was last year at this time, you know, or headed into the training camp, and then obviously coming out of training camp through cut day. The Lions have room on the roster right now. You know, they started with 15 defensive linemen last year, and right now they only have 13. So they still have 2 spots open. And there could be more, right? The Lions could be going into this a little bit deeper this year. I think that when you look at the secondary room or the DB room, I think that that's the room that probably makes the most sense, right? When you look at that room, you say, okay, we got Terrian, we got DJ, we got Amik, we got 3 starters. Straight across, we got 3 starters. Amik and, you know, at the nickel, DJ at the outside, Terrian on the outside. And then you have, you know, the top 2 safeties in the league, Kirby and Brian in the back. That room's set. At this point, you just need guys that can give you depth. That's it. So I don't think they're worried about that room at all. If they find a really good corner or a safety in this draft, that's a plus. But I don't think that they're concerned about it. I think that they're more concerned about finding a really good linebacker that they can add to this team to build up behind Alex Anzalone, who's on his last year, and then, you know, fit him in with Jack Campbell. And I think they're looking for that edge and a DT. I think that those are the three positions, that you're going to see the Lions focus heavy on in the first 3 rounds. Linebacker, edge, and DT, not in any certain order. I think that that's the most important on this team. When you look at the offensive side of the football, it's offensive line. It's offensive line and wide receiver. Those could be your 5 positions that Brad gets in this draft. And maybe he moves off some future draft capital to make a few things happen. You know, I would love to see Brad, honestly. I would not be mad if he went F them picks to move up. I would not be mad. If you gave up some 2026 capital, even some 27 capital, if you gave up a second or a third or a couple of thirds, hell, even a first to move up and add, you know, 1 or 2 picks in this draft in the top 60, top 70, you get 4 picks in the top 70, your team is set for the next 4 or 5 years. Set, completely set. Because then you have cheap rookie deals. The rest of the guys, you've seen it. We didn't go out and sign anybody because there's nobody to sign. Like, there's literally no positions available on this roster the way that it is. That's why we're not signing these big name free agents other than DJ Reed, which, my God, I'm so glad I was wrong on that guy. It wasn't wrong on his talent. I said I wasn't high on him because he's got those short arms, but you know what? I didn't utilize my own advice, which is, if you've already proven it in the NFL, you're good with me. And he's already proven it in the NFL. I don't know. I guess I walked away from that one. That's all right. I'm the kind of guy that can raise my hand and say, I was wrong. It's all good. It's all good. I don't mind being wrong. What I do mind is you guys being here. I love it. I love that you guys show up. I love that you guys hang out and support the channel. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, let's do it. Let's get you guys a mini helmet. Let me check the number. Let's see where we're at. We are almost there, everybody. We are almost there. Hold on. I need an exact number. I got to get open the studio. Hold on. All right, we need 10 more. That's it. We need 10 more subscribers, and we're going to give away a helmet right now. Just 10 more. If you haven't subscribed, step out of the chat, smash the subscribe button. Once we get it, I'll stay on for another 10 minutes or so. You get 10 more subscribers, I'll give away a mini helmet tonight. Let me go see what I got. Let me go grab some. I'm sure we got a really cool Panay one. I'll be right back. All right, yes, we do got some really nice ones here. We have it's the army colored one, the Salute to Service helmets with Panay's signature on it. And they've got certificate of authenticity. Yes, we were one of the first channels to be giving these away. I bought all these last July or July. Pro Sports Zone, go support John Yu. John Yu supports us. Please go support John Yu over at Pro Sports Zone in Livonia. So yeah, we've got some Chris Spielman ones. We got some Panay ones. We got something to make somebody happy. All right, we got a couple subscribers. Keep it going. We're only a couple more shy here. Big shout out to all the vets, says meet Mr. Detroit City, Mike Kimber, and anybody else, Trace, and any of the other vets that are part of this squad. Appreciate you guys. All right, so tomorrow morning show starts at 8 a.m. So again, if you guys are not in here regularly, a morning show, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. each and every day. That is what's helped earn us our credential. Oh, I said the C word. Yes, that's what helped earned us our credential. So thank goodness we are now NFL credentialed. We are ready to rock and roll. Pretty soon I'll get my first one once I go to an event. Got one major pain in the house. Roger Olowski, how's it going? Luke Nykamp. You want a signed Will Rock helmet? I'm going to give away some of the Team Rock stuff. So once we get all the merch going, once I get all my samples, I'll give away some of the Team Rock stuff to people. And then we'll do, so for the Rockdown Cancer Foundation, we'll have all sorts of giveaways and raffles and that. Huge draft party. So I'm expecting to go to day one. Like I said, I want to have a credential to go and actually be there and take it in a little bit differently. And then for day two, I'll plan on being live, but I'll be live that night and we're going to do giveaways. So last year I gave away 10 jerseys, 10 Detroit Lions, brand new jerseys. So I think we gave away over $3,000 worth of stuff last year on draft weekend. We're going to do it again this year, but we're going to try to raise money too for the Rockdown Cancer Foundation and other GoFundMe's and that we're going to try to help out. So would appreciate if you guys would come and rock with us on draft week. Come on, we just need like 7 more subscribers. Are all 200 plus of you guys already subscribed? Just need 7 more, and then someone's going to get a helmet. I want to give it away right now. That'd be great. Oops, I think I just accidentally turned ads back on. I didn't mean to do that. Whoops. You might get an ad. My apology. Hats for sale, Scott. Scott, didn't you get one of these hats? They're available on the Buy Me a Coffee. Man, my camera looks terrible. I don't know how to fix it. Why does it look so bad? It shouldn't look like that. It's all fuzzy looking. Yeah, Scott, you did get one. I thought you did. There's a couple of Scotts in the chat, so forgive me. All right, where are we at? We just need a few more. Well, I'm going to stay on to at least 9:45, begging for just 7 more subscribers so I can give something away. Isn't that crazy? I just want to give something away. Almost there. All right, so while we're waiting, what's on your list? I want to see your list 1 through 5, or 1 through 15, or at least 1 through 5, or 1 through 10, whatever. Send me a list in the chat, in the comments below. Your top edge rushers. Who's your number 1 or number 2 for the Lions? If you got 1 in round 1, 1 in round 2, 1 in round 3, I think the Lions could definitely pick up a top tier talent into round 3. Like, it's that deep this year. And it could be a defensive tackle in round 3. Could be an edge rusher in round 3. Could be a linebacker. Linebacker's going to be a little tough, honestly. I think the linebacker's a little thin this year. Yeah, we need some more movement here. That or I just need to refresh my screen. Oh, there we go. A couple more. Come on, just a few more to go. A few more subscribers. Otherwise, it'll probably happen tomorrow morning. After seeing Giovanni Manu today, I got to reach back out to the contact to see if we can get Gio on. He was supposed to come on last year, and then I was supposed to go to dinner, at the game, and yeah, wasn't feeling the greatest. Missed out on dinner. Missed out on meeting Gio. I want to get him on the pod, man. I want to talk to him. Man, we still need 6 more. Still need 6 more. I guess everyone that's in right now must be subscribed. All right, how many of you guys are going to go to training camp this year? I plan on giving away another 100 tickets this year, but we're going to do it differently. We're going to give away packages and try to do some meetups. I'm hoping to be there every day this year. What's that? Kamal 7 Mile Dog says, I went to Target and bought a pack of cards. Kid you not, I got a Jared Goff auto. What is an auto? See, I'm not as well versed in the cards anymore. I used to be. Like, I used to hustle as a kid. We used to sell baseball cards and all that stuff back in the day, but I'm not as well versed. David Lyons, what's happening, buddy? David, you're coming up this week. Oh, Mr. Detroit City's down in Florida. Where at in Florida? The kids are down in Naples, so I visit Naples. I'd like to get a place down in Fort Myers is where I really want to go. Yeah, it doesn't cost us to subscribe, Roger says. It's free. It's free. You don't have to do the membership. Just subscribe to the channel. I still need 6 more, man. Got 3 minutes. My old ass still needs to get some sleep, man. I had 6 hours of window time today, and I got a lot of prep to do still for tomorrow. Otherwise, tomorrow's show could suck. I think I'm on my own tomorrow. I don't think Eric's back yet. Resident Lions fan in New England, Roma 685. What's happening, man? You missed a lot. We talked about the top 15 edge rushers tonight. Thinking that the Lions, obviously you're going to get one in the draft. So appreciate you. Roma, if you haven't subscribed, man, we could use some subscribers tonight. We're trying to give away a mini helmet, and I will send it to New England or New Zealand if you win. Just send me back some of those New Zealand mussels and, maybe some sea urchins, something. Like fair trade here. Oh, shit, the tariffs. Never mind. Forget it. I don't want it. Better the hunt. Better late than never. That's what it should say. Better late than never. What's up, Randy? Randy, we talked about the top 15 tonight. Top 15 edge tonight. Roma, you can be my tour guide whenever I get out to New Zealand. That is on the bucket list. I would love to get out there. All the hot springs and everything that's out there, man, it looks fun. Edge rushers. We know that a lot of people, especially David Lyon, he wants an edge rusher in the worst way. We know that. We know that. We will get one. We will definitely get one. Start my show at 10? What does that mean, Jay Cruisin? Start my show at 10. All right, we're just trying to kill time here, hoping we can get the subscribership up. Oh, got another one. All we need is 5 more, and someone's going to take home a mini helmet. We got to do it in 60 seconds. Man, I feel bad for all you peeps. It's probably not going to happen. All right, we'll see if we can get it up there. Oh, we just need 4 more. Come on. 4 more subscribers. We're giving away a Penei Sewell mini helmet. How about Penei Sewell? How about that? You know how much this thing's worth right now? Penei Sewell. This thing's probably about $150. $150. Salute to service. It's stamped. These things are all legit. Right? You got your certificate of authenticity, which we won't focus on it. Look at that. It won't focus. There it is. It's focused. From Pro Sports Zone. These things were signed at Pro Sports Zone. Did anyone go to the JJ McCarthy signing, or is that this week? Come on, just 4 more. Yeah, I've given away like 30 of these, so you can imagine that's that's over $5,000, I think, worth $4,500, something like that, in mini helmets in the last season. Trying to give away the rest so that we can get all the new ones in. All right, everyone start putting in the chat. If you're in the chat, you have a chance to win. I'll give one away just for the hell of it. Let's just give one away anyway. How about that? We'll give one away just because we're being nice tonight. So everyone in the chat, I'm thinking of a numbers how we're going to play this game. How many people are in? How many people are in? Let's find out. See, I could do trivia, but every time I do trivia, people complain because there's a lag with you guys. All right, there's 170 people in right now. You guys already put numbers in. Stop. Don't stop. Stop. All right, we gotta wait. We gotta wait. No more numbers. We gotta wait. I gotta write a number down. No more numbers. You guys are crazy. All right, let me write it down. This could go on forever. Okay, starting right now. East Side Detroit put in 0. And then we've got lower your camera and then laugh out loud. So now at Gina's laugh out loud message, I'm thinking of a number. It's 1 through 100. Go. 1 through 100. It's written down. The first person to get it. I don't care about lag, but the first person to get the number gets it. Oh shit, it's flying way too fast. Oh, there it is. There it is. I see it. Brandy Coffee, number 97. Ornery U of M Dad was right behind her. Here, I'll show you. It's in here. There it is. Hutch, number 97. Brandy Coffee, she got it. Congratulations, Brandy. Good work. Good work. Congratulations. All right, Brandy, I got your address, I believe, still, so we'll get it out to you. And I appreciate you guys all joining me tonight. Hopefully we had a little bit of an entertaining conversation in the beginning, but look, the Lions defense is going to be just fine this year. Brad's doing a great job. The Lions they're set, right? They are set to compete, but they're also set to perform at a high level this season. We're running back the same team that won 15 games with all those injuries last year is going to do it again. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win 15. We don't need 15 games. We just need to make the playoffs and then go from there. I would love to see us win the 1 seed. I would love to see us win the NFC North again. I'd love to see all that. More importantly, I just want to see us stay healthy, right? And win enough games to get in. I would trade anything right now for a healthy team and a 2 seed last year. I would trade anything for that. You give this team, an opportunity to be healthy at the end of the season and a 2 seed. I'm good. I'd rather see that happen. So healthy and a 2 seed is what I'm hoping for. But I'll take healthy and a 1 seed too. I'm just saying. All right, we'll see you guys in the morning. Go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. Congratulations, Brandy, and everybody else. Appreciate you guys subscribing tonight. I know we didn't hit our goal, but it's all good. I got a big heart. Let's just have fun. We got a big season coming, and let's just stay excited. Go on, probably go Detroit Lions. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Detroit